What is the goddamn difference between selfishness, self-centeredness, and self-seeking? I'm on a spiritual path. I'm trying to grow spiritually. And apparently one of the big challenges is self. A lot of problems stem from selfishness, self-centeredness, and self-seeking. And apparently a bunch of other different kinds of self also. But those are three of the big kinds of self. But they all sound really similar. So what's exactly the difference about them? Well, I'm about to explain. Selfishness. Okay, it's gonna be we're gonna do a short video, but let's just get this down. Selfishness is where, let's say, like there's a pizza and it's like cut into 8 slices and there's 4 people, and you sit down and immediately, because you're a fast eater, you eat 4 pieces, and then that's selfish because you took too much pizza for yourself. That was a selfish thing to do, right? Now you're probably self-seeking and self-centered also, but you wouldn't describe the action of eating the 4 pieces of pizza when there's 3 other people. And granted, they each do get at least 1 piece per person, but maybe, a few of them wanted 2. That's where being inconsiderate comes in. When you are behaving selfish, when you are a self-centered person, you're going to probably you're going to do some selfish things. Because when you're self-centered, you generally consider yourself. Your thoughts are usually about yourself. If you're thinking about someone else, you're probably thinking, what do they think about me? And so you're really just thinking about yourself still. And this, but that's what selfishness is when you take too much for yourself, or you want to get too much for yourself. Just to classify selfishness. Self-centeredness is where, this one's kind of a paradox because there is a spiritual principle to, know thyself, right? And obviously you know yourself, you're going to think about yourself, right? And also to find your center, right? I'm going to find my center. And that's like, okay, so find my center, but don't be self-centered. The fuck are you talking about? Okay, here's what it is. Here, another good, okay, that's going to clean off. That's going to be fine. Another good description of self-centeredness, like an addictive way, is self-absorption. That's a good way to say it. Because selfishness is when you take too much for yourself. Self-centeredness is where you are absorbed, your consciousness is only in self, and so you cannot be self-aware. If you are only in yourself, then you're always looking out, and this is why you always want to blame people, and you will be someone who projects. You ever meet someone who's like very self-absorbed and very self-centered, and like they will accuse you of doing things that they're like doing at that moment, or that they always do, and you're like, dude, you're so frustrating to be around because that's what you're doing, but you're saying that's what I'm doing, so fuck you. When a person acts like that, that person is self-absorbed and they're self-centered to the point where whatever they have going on with themselves, they can't see it because they're only in themselves and they can only look out. They can't look back in because none of their consciousness has extended beyond their own self-bubble, okay? So they don't have the ability to be introspective in truth. They have the ability to extend their thoughts, but not their actual consciousness. They can extend their thoughts out in imaginary, and this is what forms self-esteem and self-image, and so self-consciousness. When we say we're self-conscious, we don't mean we actually have gained true consciousness of ourself. We mean that our consciousness is absorbed in and considering it in ourself, and so we are only thinking about ourself and not thinking and considering the feelings of other people. Am I getting too wordy? I'm making sense, I promise you. I haven't said anything yet that definitely doesn't make sense, and I want to just keep it simple. This was supposed to be a short video. Selfishness is when you take too much for yourself. Self-centeredness is where you are stuck in yourself because you haven't been, thinking about how to help other people and how to extend your consciousness into other people's problems and listening to them and understanding them. So it's just in yourself. So you have a tendency to always look out and point your fingers and blame other people and project your own problems onto them and think that they're producing and they're actually doing the things that you're actually doing. That's self-centeredness. And then it's self-seeking is where, because you are absorbed in this sense of self, because you're self-centered, you plot and you think about, like, how can I get more things for myself? It's like, how can I be more selfish, basically? And how can I extract from the world? So that's like when you're going to go into a situation and you're going to be like, go to a party or something, and you're like, why? What am I going to get from it? How is it going to benefit me? This self-seeking. When someone's talking blah, 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 and in my head I'm like, okay, but wait, like, this doesn't interest me because what is it going to do for me? And then they mention, oh, and we might have a job opening that you'd be perfect for, and it pays like, $190,000 a year, and it's only like, won't take up all your, it'd be pretty easy. And I'm just going to be like, ding, 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 ding. You have my attention because now what you're saying is I can see how it would benefit me, and I'm being a self-seeking person. And so it's really easy now for me to pay attention to what you're saying because, it's stimulated. My mind is like, ding, 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 that's something I care about. I don't care about you and whatever you're talking about because your life is boring, has nothing to do with me, it doesn't benefit me. So that's because I'm self-centered. My life is what matters to me. Yours doesn't. That's when you're being self-seeking, is when they say something that might interest you and you're like, oh, okay, well, what are we talking about? I am now seeking some shit for myself. That's self-seeking. I'm going to try this out real quick. All right. You kidding me? You only go at that actual angle? You're going to go at that angle and that angle. You can't just go in between a little bit? Come on, man. All right. Hopefully my head is kind of like in the thing. Yep. This is great. Everything's fine. All right. Here's the self. Fuck this. Okay, here's the self. All right. So when you are self-absorbed, this is your consciousness. Just all about me, So when I want to, there's no consciousness. Here's other people and other things and interesting, things about life and charities and a friend who's sad and needs someone to talk to. And an old person who can't wipe their butt, so you gonna go help them and wipe their butt. When your consciousness is only here in the self, you have no actual self-awareness, but you are very self-absorbed, and all you can think about is yourself, because your thoughts are not tethered to anything else. You don't have children, right? That, there's a lot of times when people do have children, they become, even if they're a self-centered person, their biology tells them, okay, I also gotta consider these little guys as an extension of myself. But you don't have those connections if you are self-absorbed and isolated and lonely and just, self-centered. Is that even an F? It's not an F at all. Self. So it is impossible to, you do this with your thoughts. You're like, you think, what does that person think of me? But none of this is consciousness, because your consciousness isn't out here. Your consciousness is all within your own bounds of your own self. That's called, all your consciousness is saturated, is inside of you. You haven't, listened to someone. You haven't been like, how's your day? You haven't been like, can I help you move into your new apartment? You haven't done that. All your consciousness remains here. So all you can do is you can look at the other person and you can say, I have this problem. I'm dishonest. And you can say, you're probably dishonest too. That's projection. You can say like, I think I'm ugly. And you're saying, do you think I'm pretty? You're just having a fearful, imaginative thought. But since all your actual consciousness is here, all you can do is extend your thoughts onto your relationships. And your relationships will all be needy and self-seeking. Because you'll be like, someone will be talking, you're thinking, you're imagining, how does this benefit me? Again, there's no consciousness, it's just imagination, it's just thought. Thoughts are not conscious. Thoughts are something that consciousness, has the power to read and detect and observe, which is amazing, that consciousness has that power. But thoughts themselves are not conscious. That's why like AI is not conscious, but it does have like thoughts, kind of. Anyway, these thoughts aren't conscious. What you want to do, let's get a different color going here. Blue is like the most closest thing to purple. Let's get orange. This is gonna be service, or green. Green's like a nice, it's a very positive color. It means go and everything. So now you're going to do some service, and you're going to actually take some action to help this person. And you're going to, whatever. You're going to build these relationships. Okay, now you're expanding. Come on, colors. You're expanding your actual consciousness, because now when you're sitting here, you're thinking to yourself, like, instead of you're thinking like, I wonder if at that party, if that thing that I said, if they thought I was cool. I wonder if that girl that I talked to will ever, is interested in me. No, you're not thinking that. You've actually gone and you've helped these people. You've listened to them. You've made their problems your problems. You've extended. So now your thoughts are just like, man, I wonder, how this guy's health problems, because I had to wipe his butt because he's old. And he can't wipe his own butt because he's so fucking old and his hip is broken, that I wonder if he can wipe his own butt now, okay? And then you're like, this person, you're like, they moved into their apartment, because I was there helping them move their couch, and I wonder if they're really sitting there enjoying their new apartment. So these are the thoughts that the kinds of thoughts you used to have about yourself. You're like, I wonder, if people think that I'm cool. I wonder if my bills are going to get paid. No, instead now you're actually doing unto others as you used to only be considering yourself. So what happens is your actual consciousness, what you actually kind of care about and understand to be yourself, it expands and it gets bigger, and now your aura is bigger, And now this is still the boundary of yourself. You don't actually grow and become like, a larger. You stay the same size. So yourself becomes the same size. But now your aura is bigger, and you're expanded, and you have the ability to be introspective. You can actually look back upon yourself with your consciousness, not just with your imagination. And so it's different. This is actually the word to be self-conscious probably would be this. It's probably not a good word, because it's saying like what it's actually talking about is being self-thought, self-absorbed, imagining that everything is, thinking about everything that like might not be okay with me. Like, I'm self-conscious, I'm at the party, I'm like, oh, do I look fat? Do I look, like am I sounding stupid at the party? That's being self-conscious. But it would be a great word to be, to be self-aware. Let's just say awareness, right? Because your domain of consciousness, you've extended it through service and caring about your community and God and doing what God would want you to do, rather than just being like, I want to fucking eat some sugar and I hope people like me. You're like, I'm going to go help a friend, and I'm going to go, have a relationship, and I'm going to go pay my bills. I'm going to do the right thing, because I owe it, not because like banks are so, a word, they're not wonderful things, but I owe money to the electric company, so I'm going to pay my bill. I'm now expanding. I'm expanding my consciousness. Anyway, the point is, when your actual consciousness gets expanded, you can look back at yourself, and you can look back at your problems like like my financial situation. Like my my taxes. Like, I didn't want to look at my taxes, but now since I have my consciousness is bigger, it's expanded. I can look back at my problems, and I can look back at them with perspective. And they look smaller because they're not right in my fucking face. And I can actually gain perspective on them, and I can look at them, and I can be like, it's time to get solving these. So I'll let you know how that goes whenever I do that shit, but probably that's how it works. But for now, I'm mostly sticking around in here. I'm gonna eat some fucking, some kicks. Kid tested, mother approved. And I eat some cereal and maybe like a pizza. But I think this all makes sense.